TII Item 123, March 14th, 2010. Let the iPad orders begin.
Welcome to Today in iPhone.
I like it a lot.
Today in iPhone.
Hey, Google!
Oh, yeah.
My beautiful iPhone, which I never have out of my hand and that I do everything with and has become an extension of who I am.
Today's episode is brought to you by the TII app, the official iPhone podcast app for the Today in iPhone, iPad, and iPod Touch podcast. You can find it in iTunes by searching for TII, just $1.99. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Rob, and this is the Today in iPhone, iPad, and iPod Touch podcast. First off, I want to thank Rob in Portsmouth, UK, for supplying the artwork for today's episode, which has a bubble theme, as in coordination with the bubbles that were popped for the NCAA tournament today. He writes in, "Hi, I made this artwork for the show with FailMaker for the text, brushes, and photo effects, EFFEX. Hope you like it, and looking forward to the next show. Regards, Rob in Portsmouth, UK." Thanks, Rob, for the artwork, and of course I'll have links in the show notes for all three of those apps. And as always, if you have any artwork that you've created on the iPhone, please email it to us at todayiniphone@gmail.com. Please make sure to include the apps you use to create that artwork, and if you can figure out how to work TII or Today in iPhone or something else with the show into that artwork, it bumps you up the list.
Hi, Rob. It's Trish in New York on Long Island. I just wanted to comment on your query about the segments of How Wrong Were They? Personally, my opinion is that I like them. I think you should keep doing them. You obviously like doing them. Not only do I find them entertaining, but I also find it instructional for me or helpful for me because when I'm reading all the reviews on the iPad and hearing all sorts of stuff on the iPad, which I'm anxiously awaiting and will order and buy as soon as it comes out, you know, I read the articles and I know to take them with a little grain of salt. Those same people said horrible things about the iPhone, and I love my iPhone, and I wouldn't, leave without it. So that's just my 2 cents for what it's worth. And I love your show. I listen to it regularly, and thank you for everything. Bye-bye.
Hey, Rob, it's Kevin Crossman from the That's What She Said podcast. You can take my How Wrong Were They segment when you can pry it from my cold, dead hands. That's how I feel. Keep up the great work. I love your commentary on this subject.
Hey, Rob, this is Mike calling from the California Central Coast in San Luis Obispo, California. Anyway, love your show, love the app, and your question about how wrong were they and what do listeners think of it. Hey, it's one of the funniest things I love, and it's a great addition to your show. I love all the other news and iPhone stuff and Apple stuff and industry stuff. And but how wrong were they? It just is a nice extra bonus to the whole thing, and it's a great way to have a way to view other people's predictions and other stuff going forward. To kind of keep in mind that nobody really has a crystal ball, and some people get it right, and some people don't. Anyway, love the show, love how wrong were they, and looking forward to the next one. Thanks. Bye.
Well, the people have spoken, and spoken loudly, actually. It was not even close. I think maybe 1 or 2 people emailed in saying, yeah, go ahead and stop it. Everyone else said, keep the How Wrong Were They segment, so we will keep the How Wrong They Were segment. By the way, the music in the background is kind of a little inside joke for those of you that follow me on Twitter. My Twitter account is podcast411, and if you want to find out what that inside joke is, it's to a link to a video on YouTube that is the creepiest, weirdest video I've seen in a really long time. I can't even do words to describe it. You just need to go back and look at my Twitter stream, and it was a post I put up on, I think it was like Friday night, and there's a link to this video, or the video that just ended. So without further ado, let's get into this week's segment of How Wrong Were They? And this week we have the following quote. Quote, "The forthcoming June 29th release of the Apple iPhone is going to be a bigger marketing flop than Ishtar and Waterworld combined, because its designers forgot Platt's first, last, and only law of user experience design. Know thy user, for he is not thee. That product is going to crash in flames. Sell your Apple stock now while the hype's still hot. You heard it here first." Unquote. David S. Platt, Suckbusters, 21st of June, 2007. Well, David, not to say that your ego's big to name a law after yourself, but it looks like your law has been disproven. So Platt's law is no longer even a law or a theory for that matter. Okay, for those of you that are really good at Google, yes, you came across Walsh's law of podcasting, which says ego is equal to download squared, or Walsh's law of blogging, which says ego is equal to subscribers squared, or Walsh's law of Twitter, which says ego is equal to followers cubed. But at least I have lots of proof to back up my law. Okay, on to news. And this first one is one I talked about last year, and it is the CBS NCAA basketball tournament app. But unlike last year's version, this one will work over 3G and not just Wi-Fi, which now actually makes it worthwhile if you're going to be somewhere where you cannot get the games for free on your laptop, like, say, at the tournament. Will I be at the tournament? Well, the Flyers finished up the regular season losing a bunch of close games and then lost to Xavier in the A10 tournament, which pretty much sealed the deal of no NCAA for the Flyers this year, which does mean you will get a show next weekend, which you probably wouldn't have gotten if they were in the tournament, as I will not be flying off to the tournament this year. So, yes, I am very, very bummed this weekend. Now all I have to say is Rock Chalk Jayhawk, which is the other school I went to, well, for at least one semester. The other school, the third one where I got my MBA, was UConn. So, looks like two of my teams are going to be in the NIT. Woohoo! Go NIT, UConn, Dayton in the finals. Go, baby. Oh, yeah, back to that CBS app. It's $9.99 in the App Store. Now, I should point out, if you're going to be near your computer, there's no reason to buy the app because you can get the games free on your computer. However, if you're going to be at work on Thursday and Friday of this week and you want to watch the games and you don't want your IT department to know, then you put your phone into 3G mode, and then the app is mucho bueno. There's been a lot of speculation that when the iPad finally does launch, it will have all of the current stock apps the iPod Touch has. But right now, it looks like it will only have the 12 apps originally shown in January. So that means no calculator or stack apps, nor the voice memo app. Obviously, as we get closer to April 3rd date, rumors will swirl about changes, additions, updates to the iPad, and most will be from unnamed sources that were somehow accurate in the past, which means, BS. Let's just say, we will know for sure on the 3rd. Per the last show, I put a call out for help on Gmail for one of the users, and here's one of the emails I got in. Hi, Rob. Per the user who wants to actually delete Gmail, they need to set the phone up as follows, as Google is designed to archive mail, not delete. Basically, they need to remove the account and add it as Other and IMAP instead of Gmail logo icon option, outlined here by Google, and he gives a link, which in the show notes is iPhone or iPod Touch Gmail help. And then he gives me a second link, which is recommended IMAP client settings Gmail help, both in the show notes for episode 123. He continues, basically once they set up the account, they would add an account, then change default actions, settings, mail, contacts, calendars, add account, other, and mail, a whole bunch of stuff. In other words, go to the two links I just mentioned. And actually, I got some voicemails on this. So let me play a voicemail on it also.
Hey, Rob. This is Brian from Michigan, calling in response to Kevin's question about deleting Gmail from the iPhone. The settings are actually on the Gmail account, not on the iPhone itself. If you go into your mail settings to the forwarding and pop/IMAP tab, down at the bottom is the IMAP access. If you want to do something other than archive, you need to turn off Do Not Automatically Expunged Messages. This will activate the three selections below that, which are archive the message, move the message to trash, and immediately delete message forever. The one drawback on that is it has to be deleted from all visible IMAP folders, which translating to Gmail means that it has to have no labels left on it at all. I'm not sure if it's worth the headache of having them stick around possibly in folders that you're not expecting, or if you're leaving it as auto-expunge, as soon as you press delete, it's going to remove it from all of the folders and automatically archive it. I hope that helped Kevin out with that question. Love the podcast. Keep up the good work. Bye.
Hey, Rob. This is Gregory from Marysville, Washington. In episode 1...
In order to keep this episode under 10 minutes, we're going to go ahead and end it there. If you want to actually hear the remainder of this episode, go to todayandiphone.com and look for the current episode. Or you can go to iTunes and subscribe to the Today in iPhone podcast. That way you'll be sure to get every new episode when it comes out in its entirety.